Here we go, OGL 350. I saved the best for last. That means I did my OGL 343, my IDS 302 videos, and now it's on to you. I should change shirts between each video. I guess you could tell which week. I'm really embarrassed. I'm sorry about the lack of cinematography in my videos. It's too embarrassing. I used to shoot so many videos from Sedona, I was in Rome, from Asilomar, California, up in Monterey Bay. Now it's just like this. Here, look at this. Look at this. They're repaving our parking lot. My camera looks dirty, and what's going on here? They're repaving my parking lot. They paved Paradise, and they're putting a parking lot. You know that one? All right. So let's talk about Module 2, 350. And to do that, I need my magnifiers. I can't do it. I wish I could. Oh, 2 yawns the first video, no yawns the second video, and 1 yawn the third video. That's where we stand score-wise. If you see any smoke blowing through, yes, I got a cigar going here. I'm not ashamed to say it. I just won't smoke it on air. All right, so let's look at grades. You know what? When I inherited these courses, I really like them. I noticed that where's my grades for 350? There it is. Grades I got plus minus set up. Normally I've never done plus minus, but these are plus minus. Do you want me to keep plus minus? Send me a note with your Easter eggs. Just say yes, plus minus. No plus minus. I'll probably keep it though. I've never done it. It's really no big deal, except I just have more grades, different grades to put in the system, okay? And we're going to put the system on trial. All right, 350. I got about 18 papers to score yet from your first paper. Looking forward to it. I think I scored it. Did I score any before already? I can't remember. But let's see. What is this? Yeah, I scored a couple. They're good. Liked them. 2 down, 18 to go. Or 3 down, I think. Where's my notes? Okay. If you get a discussion board or a paper or something that gives you a choice, always make sure you tell me what you chose. Prompt 1, prompt 2, the Smith article, the Jones video. Make sure you tell me, especially the prompts. I don't want to go through a reading and try to guess which prompt you went with. Okay. Read the feedback. Even if it's 100%, read my feedback. I try to leave some. Usually, sometimes I don't, sometimes I do, but try to read that. Okay. All right, let's go to Easter egg number 1 right away. Wow, it's too fast. Second one will be like 20 minutes from now. All right, Easter egg number 1, read feedback comments. Easter egg number 1 is read feedback comments. Okay, the readings. Wow, was that exciting readings. Oh my God, there was so much going on today. Not today, all this week reading. All right, about the microaggressions, okay. 2007, yeah, it's going back a little ways. Not for me, but for some of you it might be, 2/3 of your age, but for me, it's a deck chair off the Titanic. I copied something. It appears that modern and symbolic racism are most closely associated with political conservatives who disclaim personal bigotry by strong and rigid adherence to traditional American values, individual self-reliance, hard work, etc., whereas aversive racism is more characteristics of white liberals. There's way too many citations in these articles. That's from the handout, I think. It's an interesting claim and one that I think most of us might have seen or heard in our life, and it's definitely all these things that are on the surface. This is what we do here, maybe in here. Think a little deeper, take it down a little. Do you ever listen to a radio show, talk show somewhere, and you'd be like listening to a topic, and your first reaction would be like, and then you're like, I wonder what, oh, they thought deep in that. They went down a few layers. They peeled some things off to get to that. I know I do. Anyway, squirrel. Okay. Without an adequate classification or understanding of the dynamics of subtle racism, it will remain invisible and potentially harmful to the well-being, self-esteem, and standards of living of people of color. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, that's 20 years ago. Okay? I'm supposed to have my flying car by then. Another quote, there is an urgent need to bring greater awareness and understanding of how microaggressions operate, their numerous manifestations in society, the type of impact they have on people of color, the dynamic interaction between perpetrator and target, and the educational strategies needed to eliminate them. Okay, so you might, as you're reading some of this, I mean, let's say you're one of my peers, an old white guy, baby boomer. You read some of this, you might be like, dude, I'm digging my heels in. I ain't buying any of this oversensitivity crap. People just need to get over it and get on with their life like that. That's typical. Be careful, okay? I don't let my friends get away with that. They know that. Okay, if you aren't familiar with some of these microaggressions, they're there, okay? They're there. Okay, it's not time to throw in the towel because it seems too overwhelming. It's not. We're moving society incrementally, okay? This is one way to do it. And you join this class, and I congratulate you to do that, okay? For example, like I said, I'll go back to last class, not this class, and I had somebody like me. I'm going to get the point because it's the context matters here. And he said, look, I don't see color. You know, and that was something that was said a decade or two ago as a, that and I have a black friend was your proof that you are racist. It's not where we're at now. We've dug deeper. We understand that racism, prejudice, bigotry can be part of all of us because racism is a system, as you will see in the Seaton video. It's systematic, and we grow up in this system. So it's hard not to be taken out of that system. So just like admitting you have a problem before you can solve it is what we're doing here, okay? You need to see color. Color's okay. Color's great. Color's beautiful. Okay? I'm getting a little color lately in the driving my Jeep with the top open. But I mean, it's just color. As long as it's just color. But if it's color that means something, right? Then we got a problem, right? We got a problem. Quote, when a Latino couple is given poor service at a restaurant and shares their experience with white friends only to be said, don't be so oversensitive. Don't be so petty. The racial experience of the couple is being nullified and its importance is being diminished. It's very to contemplate that. Okay. Random quote from a paper I scored this morning. I've realized how different each generation views diversity. Chef's kiss statement. I've realized how different each generation views diversity. That's a big statement that was made. Okay, an excellent insight. Because it would take somebody like my age to be able to say that with any kind of confidence, but that's good. I've realized how different each. It's true. It's so true. In the 60s, it was one thing. In the 70s, and then these are just decades that were breaking up, 80s, 90s, aughts, 10s, 20s. And like I explained, there are things that we thought were just great in the 80s and 90s that now it's like, oh, cringe, that's so wrong. Okay? So to be able to say you realize how different each generation views diversity. And I'm using diversity here to cover just our society and cultures and how we view things, right? Excellent statement. Okay, there were 9 categories of microaggressions. Take a look at there. And one of the main writers, I think it's the main writer, main author, talks about being treated badly on a plane. He said, attempts to explain my perceptions and feelings only generated greater defensiveness from her, the flight attendant. For every allegation I made, she seemed to have a rational reason for her actions. Finally, she broke off the conversation, refused to talk about the incident any longer. He is an African American. He was with 2 other non-white colleagues, and they were asked to move to the back of the plane. Wow, huh? That's a sensitive thing. Just randomly to let these other guys sit together. Really weird. Anyways, you can read about that. The power of racial microaggressions lies in their invisibility to the perpetrator and oftentimes the recipient. But read that. Invisibility of the perpetrator. We don't realize it, okay? So what we're trying to do is realize things. And it makes a difference. It's not like, well, if I don't know that I'm doing it, what does it matter? Yeah, it does matter, okay? Remember, ignorance of the law is no excuse? Most white Americans experience themselves as good, moral, and decent human beings who believe in equality and democracy. Yes. Thus, they find it difficult to believe that they possess biased racial attitudes and may engage in behaviors that are discriminatory. We do. Get over it. Admit it. Let's move on. Let's try to resolve it. Okay. There's yeah, in fact, Joe Walsh, not the guitarist, but the guy who was running for president as a conservative in 2020, 2016, I forget. Um, he was conservative nuts for a while there, and all of a sudden he had an enlightenment. And now he has, I guess his podcast is The White Flag with Joe Walsh. Not that he's surrendering, but he understands we need to listen. He needs to listen more. He implores people to listen. Listen to people of color. Listen to what's going on. Okay? It's important because I got some more stuff. Hold on. I got some articles I'll talk about in a minute. Quote, I honestly think that it can never be fully achieved, but it's something that must be an ever-changing goal. I think someone wrote that in a paper or discussion. I thought it was a very good original thought, insight, you know. Diversity management is a moving target, and while trying to achieve the goal of being accepting, you often have the opposite effect. That's another excellent observation. I think I'll use this in my next video, so apparently I wrote that to somebody. It's very good, yeah. It says, diversity management is a moving target. While trying to achieve the goal of being accepting, you often have the opposite effect. It's true. I've heard it from other students, okay? So we just learn and we get better, right? Looking at I got 3 links I'm going to send you. One is I'm going to do my own humble brag because I pulled up the link to show somebody about when I graduated. Although my philosophy is life is not like an old shoe to be worn out. I never know where the guy got that from. I don't do that, but I didn't say that. But that was about me and my degree. And I'm going to send you a ASU News interactive exhibit demonstrates the effect stuff can have on racial representation. I don't know the point of how he's showing you these, but there's the page. It exists, and that's Dr. Neil, and he runs. I think. Oh, my coffee wasn't bad. Did I panic like PTSD? I'm sorry, I don't really have that. Dr. Lester, right? Yeah, Dr. Neil Lester, right? I hate when I get that wrong. Yeah, Neil Lester. Okay, excellent article. Excellent. He's director of Project Humanities. I take very good article to read and see. And also Angela Duran is pictured in here, and she's on our faculty as well. Excellent article to just review that. Then I'm going to send you a little more difficult article. That is not ASU News for the 4th page that's open here. A different kind of campus speaker controversy. It's in the Chronicle of Higher Ed. Hopefully you can read it. If not, just get a free login and you can read it. It's a very, very provocative discussion. Dorian Abbott is scheduled to give a lecture about the potential for life on other planets on Thursday at Princeton University. This is dated last week. Thousands have reportedly signed up to watch it online, though its remarkable popularity may be driven less by the topic, fascinating though it may be, than by the circumstances. Abbott was supposed to give the same talk at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology as part of its annual John Carlson lecture series, but the offer to speak was withdrawn because of his views on colleges' diversity programs. It's an interesting article. What are we talking about here? Diversity in organizations. What do I talk about through ASU? We've got a DEIB task force: diversity, equality, inclusion, belonging. Okay, a lot of people that think those are crap. I'll just tell you that. Okay, I'm not one of them. If I was, I wouldn't be teaching this course. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. All these things, all these microaggressions, all these controversies about speakers and white guys getting canceled. Let's face it, okay? The university should treat everyone who applies to our department equally and judge applicants only on the basis of their promise as scientists. That's what he said. Well, that's just wonderful. The problem is that's not how it's been. Going back to where we want to go back to. That's great. In the ideal world, that's great. And for a lot of older white guys, that's the ideal world they're already in. And they think others are trying to cheat or sneak in or do this and that. No. My question is, why do you think all these efforts exist? Why do they exist? Would they need to exist if the university were already treating everyone who applies to their department equally and judge applicants only on the basis of their promise as scientists? Would it be happening if there wasn't redlining in real estate or systematic racism in borrowing money, small business, of the veterans, the VA loan program, veterans coming back, and all the white guy veterans in the world could, in U.S., could get what they wanted to build houses while it was off limits to African Americans? How do you think that set up the foundations of generational wealth in the country? The reason we are doing this, the reason we are here, is to try to remedy and move our society forward and not just say, well, the university should just look at everybody equally. Well, duh, the problem is they don't, they haven't. I'm sorry I'm going off on this here, but I always want to ask you, think of the intention. Why is this being done? Do you think it's being done for nefarious purposes? Do you really think it's nefarious? I'm not asking, I'm rhetorical. So Easter egg number 2 is, what is the intention? What is the intention of all this? And when I say all this, I just mean like diversity. Yes, other countries, I talk to people in a lot of other countries, they have problems too with colorism, with racism, with bigotry, with prejudice, okay? I think we're about the best in the US. Now that may be sad or great, but I do love living here. I do think that from my experience in other countries that obviously I'm more comfortable here. This is my home turf, right? I get to play a home game. All right, so the module 2 readings and the work. This module is worth 200 points. It's huge. It's the biggest one. That's 2 grade levels in this module, okay? I mean, the rest of the modules are like 160, 160, 180, 160, but this one's worth 200. That's a big chunk of change, right? Okay, there's a video. It's an hour and 25 minutes. It's actually a conference meeting with Dr. Seaton, and I love it. And I got to listen to it again and really focus on it. It's hard. You got to really listen to it. There's some really good things there because you might ask questions about how to articulate certain concepts. Because we know we throw around racism, reverse racism, prejudice, bigotry, but do we actually know what they mean from a very conceptual standpoint of academia, scientific? Okay, not just cultural throw it around words, okay? Not just that, but actually for reasons to understand, to organize. I'm looking, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Then you got a race implicit test. I'm keeping that for now. I don't like it. I hate those things. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I don't want to take some, if I can be quick on my keyboard to see if I'm racist against black people. Or if but it's up there. Do it. You're not getting graded on how you come out. In my opinion, actually the article about, okay, now that you flunked the race and test, what does that mean? That's a good article. Okay, everybody should read that, even if you don't flunk, because it's good. It talks about things. It talks about. So you flunked racism test. Now what? It's a very good article about our future. Okay, towards the end, until we better understand how to actually reduce innate bias, the best we can do is try to ensure our prejudices affect our decisions as little as possible. For instance, the scientist says blind auditions for musicians can work really well. Taking the names off resumes can help ensure that hiring managers don't choose candidates based on gender or race, right? If you have a name that's Ghanaian, maybe like Kwame, or they're usually their Ghanaian names are named after the day of the week they were born. If someone sees that, they might say, I don't want no Kwame working for me, right? Or if they see, you know, a name like, Giselle, Anna, whatever. I don't want a woman working with me. My wife will kill me, right? So taking the names off, right? Until our culture changes to the point where we don't have these negative ideas about certain groups, it may be that our implicit biases are probably here to stay. That's admittedly true, but we can do what we can. Okay, nobody's we got to cure everything right away. We got to do what we can. It's better now than it was in the '60s. Okay, not as good as I thought it would have been, and most people that have been around the '60s thought it'd be better by now, but it's still better. Okay, um, but there's still significant problems on an individual basis. All right, discussion number 2. There are 2 options. Pick one to discuss. I made that 50 points with 2 responses. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? 50 points. 2 options. Pick one to discuss. Make sure you tell me which one it is, right? Okay. There are 2 audio visuals, about 36 minutes. Like I said, I'm bearing you this stuff. And then there's a quiz with 38 questions, multiple choice, 40 points, 80 minutes. That's due on Saturday night. Schedule accordingly, do the work properly, and get it done. Paper number 2 is the essay. 100 points. That's a grade level. So make sure you get a good jump on that and figuring out what you're going to need for that. It's good to look at that. Start outlining. Start thinking about what you need to read, what you want to do. Okay. All right. Don't let those videos play without actively listening. Don't say, I'm going to put them in a background while I'm doing this or that. Okay. It's probably not going to get anything out of it, How do we do? 22 minutes. I think we got it. Everything's a blur at this point. There's some provocative things we're talking about here, and I do not ever pretend to want to tell you what to think or how to think or what to do or what not to do. Yes, my personal opinion seeps in the class or it jumps into the class. I admit it. It's a subject that's near and dear to me, and I love it when it works, okay? And I hate it when it doesn't work. I hate it when we see those incidents and instances of bigotry, prejudice, racism, racist attitudes, things like that. If you have questions, let me know. Ask me. I'll give you my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong. Your own moral judgments, your own values, that's on you. Okay? I'm just going to tell you what I think and my experience. I think that's it. I can go refire up this cigar and put my real glasses on now. And you guys have a great week, especially my Starbucks people. Is it Starbucks on that side? Where's the Starbucks thing? Yeah, it's there. I guess it is. Oh, there it is. Jeez, I was like, where is that thing? All right, that's it. Easter egg number 3 is... It's just like the orange juice. Easter egg number 3 is concentrate. Concentrate. All right? Forks up. Peace.